Okay, so welcome to another painting video of Black Rose Wars. This time on the painting table is the Minotower. Hopefully this will be a better quality recording. I'm hoping for 1080p and smooth. I'm just going to have to go through post-production just to get a better quality. I had a look to see if I could just stream straight from my mobile, which may bypass all the problems I've been getting with live streams, but you need 1,000 subscribers to do that. So not yet, so maybe in the future, with the computer that I'm using having real issues with live streaming, of course. But hopefully this will still be of use and give you some ideas about Citadel Contrast, of course, as always. And if we have a little look at the card, he's got skin tone. I'm going to go in with some Fire Slayer flesh, pretty much over all the skin. Now he's got some interesting art techniques here where he's got like white patches over his body. And I think I'm going to give it a go at copying that and just see what happens. It is a bit unique, but I want to mimic the art on the card as best as I possibly can. So we're gonna try the same thing here. So as per normal with any white tones, it's Apothecary white to start with. And we're going to use our usual Winsor & Newton Series 7 size 0 brush. I'm just putting this white around the areas as best I can tell from the art that has this white effect. Now this may come out really quite terrible, I don't know. But he's got kind of, yeah, it's very strange. But yeah, he's certainly got some white patches all over. Then we can make some guesses as to some of the other patches as well. You know what? I think, yeah, absolutely no art for this, obviously. No for the leg parts. But gathering it might be white patches where it's more of where he gets wear and tear on his joints and maybe things like that. Don't know. Just winging it here and see what happens. Okay, that'll do. Oh, the body as well. It looks like he's got kind of like a bit come in. Almost like a patch come in there and a bit seeping through the stonework armour there. And on his back, let's give him a kind of shoulder part that will be a kind of white colour to go against the darker tone of the hair. Okay, that'll be fine. So that's the white tone done of the skin. Now what I'm going to do here, because I want it to be a fade into the different colours, obviously. I don't want it to be a line, and it is a graduation between the skin tone and the white. So we're also going to go in with a bit of contrast medium as well on a different brush. Okay. So, starting with the arm. There's a bit too much paint checked on that. Don't want it that dark, skin tone. Being sure I don't get onto the stonework, of course, because I'm gonna have to paint that in a bit anyway. I'm just going around this area, and then with the other paintbrush, just gonna blend that edge. Perfect. We can just use a bit in there as well. Let's move on and carry on. Trying to remember where I put the white, of course. The greyish white as well. And just blending that around here as well. Strange effect, but it is on the card art, so I'm trying to keep a similar look. Yeah, I think when that dries, that'll. Oops, sorry. I think when that dries, that'll have the same effect. So I think that's all good. So let's clean brushes and go again on the other arm. And we'll blend in again. We want kind of like the odd finger and wrist and stuff. Just a chance to really just experiment and play and try and get a good Okay, let's blend that in now. Remember, the medium's just like water. It's just like water for contrast paints. So it's thinning it down. Oh. Still giving it a tonal colour. Okay, that's the effect I'm going for anyway. And I'm just going to keep working my way around the miniature. Okay, so let's bring this back into play. What great detail as always with these miniatures, these Ludus Magnus Black Rose Wars miniatures. They're absolutely fantastic. Great detail for the contrast paints just to seep into, give you really good effect. Hair, might mix a bit of brown with this fire slayer. Try and get the desired effect of a darker hair. I'm just going to go in kind of all in there, and then just with this bit here, I'm just going to fade in. Hopefully. More perhaps. Better. There we go. There we go. Okay, so we're carrying on with the skin here. Come around to the front. What we'll do about there. And this is going to come around here. There's going to be bits coming out. Yep. Just get some medium, contrast mediums. Splodge there, splodge there. Bring this one down. Okay, there we go. Doesn't put it on the top bit there. That's fine. Just missed the bit there. Okay, cool. Yeah, it looks pretty good actually. It's an interesting detail that they've put onto the miniature, but I think it works quite well. And by the way, these are fully scrubbed, and it seems to have done the job. Now we'll see with the rest of the miniatures whether that stays true. But yeah, I used a lot of soap and water, good toothbrush scrubbing to try and get rid of any residue which might be on the miniature and stop it from the paint from sticking. And it seems to be doing a good job at the moment. Hopefully it will stay. And the whole point of this contrast medium is just so we can get a bit of a blend between the I can just like start to play with it a little bit and get it so I'm really happy. With the blend, it might be a bit into the sides there. That's better. Okay. Let's keep going. Other leg. Now we're going into the leg itself. I'm just going to have like a slight bit of an extra, so it's not identical to the other leg. Yep. Back into the contrast medium. And when you get too much of the coloured contrast paint onto the brush, then just use a bit of kitchen roll to get rid of it, and then you can start again. I'm just going to get a little bit more up into here a minute. Just a bit more. There we go. Okay, cool. So it looks blended, which is the effect I wanted. So let's give both brushes a good old watered down clean, and then we're going to go in with the stonework, I believe, next. Then we'll do the hair afterwards. Oh, I forgot about the face, of course. Whoops. So let's do that first of all. We've got the fast layer out. And just, the rest is all hair really. That's better. I think I'm just going to go in with brown. It's a shame I haven't got the fur brown. That's the next contrast paint I need. I'm thinking for this hair, I might just use, I think wildwood would be a bit too strong, but maybe wildwood with some contrast medium might be the way forward, just to dull those down a little bit. Okay, anyway, moving on. Moving on to Basilicanum Grey. Moving on to Basilicanum Grey, sorry. And this gives such a good stone effect. So I'm actually going to start here in the middle. Just doing the facing part of this armour. Oh, I'm so pleased that this paint is going on perfect. If you watch my Infamy Crete, even though he turned out fine, it was a nightmare to paint. I'm going to leave I'm just doing the front parts of this armour, just because the skin tone's got to dry yet. I don't want it bleeding into that. And again, all of this other art, all of this other part to his armour is all metal, so again, not really too fast if I get over parts of those, because the lead belcher will manage to get over those. Okay. Shoulders next. Again, this is just going to be a one coat version, so make sure you get in all of the gaps before we move on to the next part. With all the detail on this stonework, it is absolutely fantastic. It's really coming through as I paint it through now. Just notice there, a bit of mist. Okay, cool. Let's do the inside of that bit. Needs a bit more paint on the older paint pot. Give the brush a good clean. As I've mentioned many times before, you want to try and keep any paint from drying on the inside, on your brush, especially near the base of the bristles. That will destroy your brush. Okay, next one. We keep going. What miniature that I've played with cartomancy as a school of magic a few times, and you always, well, I always seem to be drawing the Minotower spell, which is an awesome spell. The quest's really cool as well. I believe is if you do 4 damage in one phase, so the action phase, to a single mage, then you complete the quest. Because cartomancy, the school of magic, it's got one side that's a spell and one side that's a quest for, not all of them, but for some of their spells. So I was managing to draw a few of those. I think you get one anyway with a standard deck when you choose your choose your class, as it were. Bit more paint. He's getting here. We've got to do the big part of the tower in a minute. And we'll get a bigger brush for that. Okay, and there's the armor, shoulder armor done. Awesome. More paint again. And let's use this size 0 brush to start with, just to get the areas around the hands and underside. Now, to be fair, you can do some amazing stone work effects. You can actually start with this, then you can go in with some dry brushing, which I might well do. Just to pick out some details and make some of the stone a bit different colour. You can head in with some different washes to give, rather than it just being plain stone looking or grey stone looking, you can get some different tones. I've certainly seen work done where you use lots of different tonal washes over a kind of grey base. And that can give some fantastic effects. Why was I not going in there? That's not too bad, actually. But again, I don't want it to be a super long paint job. Just going to go into that one there. So just going around the hands here before I tackle the main part. I think that should do us. Okay, so onto about size 4, I believe it is. And remember, the contrast paints do dry a lighter tone. Well, I find they do, certainly when I do them. So if it's looking a bit too dark, don't worry, we'll dry lighter. Don't worry too much about the pooling effect. It'll We'll go to the recesses that will make sense eventually. So I'll try and keep it in view. But try not to flick spray your miniature and all the paintwork that you've spent doing so far as well. So around the front. Well, I've got the top of this tower. Annoyingly, this paint lid is not holding, which is really annoying. But we keep going on. Don't want it pulling too much on the stonework, because that will give it an uneven and a bit of a rubbish look. Come on, that. Okay, getting there, aren't we? So I think I'll move on to the holding the base now. Which is a lot less stable due to moments, but and the really annoying thing is I have to keep opening this lid to pick up paint. Maybe I will switch them to a dropper bottle or whatever, or a better pot. Citadel, why haven't you not sorted out your paint pots? It's a travesty, really. Make sure to, pick up on any pooling which might be going on, but also to try and get all detail filled in as well. So it's a bit of a fast job needed. And some of the detail in this rock is so defined that it's quite hard to get paint in there sometimes. Let's go on the top now. Just spread out some of that pooling again. It's pretty good. Just looking for specks of white. Okay. That's the grey stone finished. The Basilicum grey. So next, let's move on to his. Starting to get there. onto the kind of red, the crimson red of that. So I might go in with some Magos purple and some Blood Angels red. A mix of these two. Whoops, for this part. Say 1 part, 3 parts red to 1 part purple, something like that. Should do. No contrast medium in this part. It's just that off tinge of red that I'm after. More purple. More purple. 3 to 2. I think that's cloth, isn't it? Yeah. I think that's all cloth actually. Just thinking about the colouring here. And as we, again, don't worry about the fact that I'm going over all this metalwork. That'll be covered over when we come to do the metalwork. Okay, well now we need to be a bit more careful. Okay. Bit too much paint there. This is pretty good. Right, so we need to get some apothecary white on the fur down by his hooves. So back in with the apothecary white. This will give us the definition we need for the contrast of the fur, the hair, I suppose I should say. Back over this bit. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to wait for that tower part to dry, which is going to be the next important thing, because although it's nearly dry now, this contrast paint doesn't take too long to dry. Right, that hair, watered down, I think we're going to go with watered down wildwood. Or medium, using the medium to thin the wildwood. So wildwood first. I only need one spatula, one part of that, and then contrast medium. Let's say, let's go with the brush. Is that too much then? No, I don't think so. No, that's good. I'm just going to touch the top of the tower now. It will probably take the paint off the top, but I can just touch that up. But it just makes it so much easier to paint. Again, the horns are going to be done in black Templar, I believe. I'm thinking at the moment. So I'm not too fussed about going over that part. Using a little bit more on the top here. Just to get the required effect. Just get in there as well. Oh god, that's... Okay. Okay, pretty happy with that. Beautiful golden, what beautiful brown locks this Minotower has. Oops. And just going to touch up the parts I've just got over on the stonework there. Cool. Okie dokie. Definitely coming along now. Okay, so we need to do the hooves. Horns I think I'll do next, just as I've finished that bit now. So we move into Black Templar. Just had a thought. It might bleed into the hair slightly. But hopefully not much, if at all. And this is going to be the same colour as the fingernail, so after done this horn detail, I'm going to move on to the fingernails and get those finished. Yeah, nice. But to do that, I'm going to go to a smaller brush. So I'm going to get my 000. Awesome. Okay, that's the nails done. I think maybe a little bit more on that. Cool. Okay. Right, so we need to do the hooves, detail obviously, and the metalwork. So I think I'll go and do the hooves now. Can we see any detail of the hooves on here? Not particularly. Skeleton horde? Yeah. I think we're going with some skeleton cord, I think. Stay open. You can continue to go around the miniature. Doing the rest of the hoof. Just being a little bit careful. I'm going to run a bit over there. Because I'm going to be using contrast paints for the base, of course. And, you know, even Skeleton Horde being a very light colour can give you some problems. Okay, that's the hooves done. Metalwork is next, I believe, for our friend here. So we need some lead belcher. So lead belcher is, of course, the Citadel version of silver paint. Make sure you get a decent pigment of silver, so it literally goes over everything. And then, as I've done in previous paints, I'm going to make the yellow, a Yanden yellow to create gold, and a basilicanum grey again to make silver. So I am going to water this down. I'm not afraid this time of the fact that it will actually go over the paint, unlike what I've had before. The water will help, and this is using water now because it's just a normal acrylic paint, not a contrast, of course. Again, don't worry about not getting right down into the corner, because the colours will, you know, the contrast paints that you put over the top will give it a look. It will kind of fill in the blanks, as it were. I'm not saying don't be careful. Obviously, be careful. Oh, I didn't. Yes, I need to do that as well. That's reminded me. I haven't done the stonework between the skin. A bit more water. Keep that paint nice and wet so it can easily flow onto the miniature. Now you can see here, I've been handling this bit quite heavily, and it isn't taking the paint. Now, people have been moaning before about the fact that, yeah, the paint just comes off, and it depends on the colour. That is very true. So something like basilicanum grey, I guess is a stickier paint, or is a stronger pigment paint. So will tend to hold onto the miniature a lot better than, let's say, a red or whatever it might be. So I have had it where, you know, especially if it's a point that I'm pivoting on when I'm turning the miniature around to paint different parts, it can certainly fade the paint. But yeah, I mean, especially trying to paint this miniature. I mean, holding this top, whoops, went over it there. That was a bit silly. Painting this miniature, holding this top part of the tower that he's holding is really helpful to try and maneuver the miniature. And again, really great detail, easy to pick out the detail on this. Cool. We're slowly getting towards the end of the metalwork. Well, the metalwork base, I should say. We haven't finished the metalwork yet. And there was a bit of chat on YouTube, tiny bit of chat, talking about the fact of that technique and how extensively I use it. And I just love this technique of using this metal paint and then going over it with the contrast to give all the different colours of metal that you desire. Okay, I'm pretty chuffed with that. That's fine. So, is that a piece of metal? No, I don't think so. I think that needs a bit of work doing on, actually. I'm just going to bring back, just noticing, I'm going to bring back that red, that purplish colour. Because here, I missed a bit. Better. Just a bit of touch up there. Okay, so that's the metal base put on. Now the straps around here, I'm just going to go in with pure wildwood, I believe, for the straps. Let's just pick up that metallic colour, don't like going everywhere. So the strapping under the arms, connecting his shoulder armour. Yeah, okay. Next arm. And then in here. Okay, cool. And now the skin tone has dried, we can now have a look at that in a little bit more. You can see the paint work is starting to come off slightly from the edges, but to be honest, that just adds the weathering, doesn't it? So you can see here the skin tone. Oh, I'm pleased with that. I think that looks really cool. I wasn't sure about how that was going to come out. It's a bit unique, but I think it works. And the Minotaur himself is really starting to come out. When you think about his hair, his detailed his eyes. Eyes I can't really see at all. We need to do the mouth, that's for sure. In fact, we can do that now while we're waiting. So again, our classic Null Oil to bring out all of the detail. Good jab of Null Oil. And then going into that mouth. And you can see. Right, we need to do, oh yes, before I forget. So Basilicum Grey. To finish off that waist stone armour. Yep. Let's keep going. I'm sorry if this is not in view. I'm just trying to pick out the detail as best as I can. Hopefully my hair doesn't get in the way. Done. All done. That's it. So Minotaur's turned out to be really quite a quick job. Not bad at all, anyway. It's the size of him. It's looking good though. These miniatures are so good. Do love these miniatures. Is that a warped base? Yeah, slightly warped base. It's running like it's got a bit of a rock to him. Not horrendous, but it is there. Right, okay, let's go in with Iandin Yellow. Metal will be dry now. So the Iandin Yellow is there to make gold. Like a really good shake to get those yellow pigments flowing. Okay, and just following the card art now. I think that might be metalwork actually. Now I just realised. Could be wrong. Are those bits coming down? Yeah, they're gold. I love this. It just comes out gold. When you go over with yellow, it's awesome. we'll just keep getting it going around the miniature, painting this yellow. It's kind of like, reminds me of, is it, what's it called? Pandora? Can't remember, the one that makes charms. It look like charms. He's got around his waist here. I'm not sure if it's Pandora. Nice. Getting there, getting there. Just try and get underneath now. And there is the gold work. Done. That's the gold work done. So now we need to do the metal, silver metal, using silicon and grey. Probably going to go to a smaller brush now. Actually, is there any? No, the rest of it's stonework, isn't it? Of course. Cool, there is no silver metal work. I think he's done. That surprised me, apart from the face. I got to decide what to do with the eyes. I might make Minotaur's eyes red. Although it's got quite a human look to it. I'm just trying to see. It's really not, I think they're red. Let's go red. Red eyes. Red eyes it is. Blood Angel's red eyes. And then we can get on with the base. And then just the other bit. That's the eyes done. Okay, so now we're moving on to the base. He's come out really well. I quite like this patchy skin effect. I think it actually comes out quite well. Bit random, but yeah, it's cool. Right, so silicon and grey again to do all the stonework. Awesome. And you see with this Wraithbone base, that the grey stone really comes out. Got a nice big miniature. The bigger miniature always helps painting the base. Is that a rose? I think it's supposed to be. Awesome. And just literally this tower part of the miniature is really handy to hold. Is that a stone? I'm going to say that's a stone bit there that rose is clinging onto. These are really nice evocation in the game because he's got an area effect, an area attack. So he attacks all miniatures in an area up to 1 away, doing 2 damage to each. So handy to get rid of or do some splash damage on, especially someone who summons many evocations, especially if you're playing a high player count game. And it just looks so cool on the board. A decent amount of health. I think he's got 5 health. Could be wrong there, but I think it's 5. So a decent health. I think a lot of these evocations, though, are so much better compared to some of the core box evocations. Just feel they were a little bit lackluster, a lot of those evocations. Okay. Oh, there's just a bit over there. Nearly done with the stonework on the base. Just a bit in there. That's all. I think that's stonework there as well. Cool. Okay. So going on to the stalks next. The green stems of the roses. Warp lightning. This is just my standard colours for all bases of Black Rose Wars. And make sure you let me know in the description of the video whether you think this is better, to have better. I mean, I know I haven't got my kind of like logo and what the game is that I'm painting up all the time. But if you further better quality, hopefully this is full 1080p. It will take me longer, of course, to produce the videos. But if they're better quality and people like them better, then I will definitely continue to do so in this format. That's terrible. Let's just try and clean that up a bit. Turn it round. Watching that hoof, I don't want to have a green hoof, if I can help it. I can always go over the roses with the Wraithbone base paint anyway. It's easier to do that than try and mop up the green spillage all over the pavement. So I hope you all had a nice Christmas, wherever you are in the world, in these really difficult times that we find ourselves in. Hope you're staying safe and well, and enjoying painting. Okay, that looks good. Okay, it's the green of the stems. We've got to let that dry so that we can paint the things. While we're letting that dry, let's go over the base with the black. Makes sense. As we're waiting. Tiny bit of this acrylic still left. Very cheap, but it does the job. Standard black. It says, have I got any black left? Maybe I don't. Seems a bit empty, doesn't it? See if we can get any this way. Should be enough. That's the black finished. There's a lovely little border, this black. Just going up to that line. Again, it really does help with those defined features to pick out exactly where the detail needs to go to. debris there. Get it? No, quite. Perfect. So while we're waiting for that green to dry a little bit, so we can do our next stage, we put the black rim around the base. And next we need to get our Wraithbone base. To touch it up. Those flowers. Whoops, never mind. As best we can. Fibre there. Nice. Okay, so the flowers are back white. And then, as always, 3 tones of rose that I use on the base of these spaces is that might be better actually. I should have perhaps gone with that line to start with. Never mind. Whoa, I completely forgot. I've just painted the black base on there. Nearly had it there. Just going to use the top of the tower to do everything, I think. So, first of all, we're going to get some red. Blood Angels red. And this one's going to be a black rose. So, in the centre, put the red. Then we're going to do a red rose. Whoops, too much paint on that one. Here. So full red rose, that one. We'll do a black rose there. Do a black rose. No, that'll be white. Black rose there as well next to it. Let's hit a red rose here. Little red rose there. Black rose here. Black rose there. White. Red rose here. Ooh, there's a hair stuck on my brush. And that, white, 3 whites in a row. A bit dull, isn't it? I think we'll go this one red as well. Got that light stuck in my head now. Hang on, excuse me. That's better. Actually, what probably better if I just move this camera up a little bit. Right, red done. So next will come Apothecary White. the white flowers. Nice easy one, the white. Okay. And finally, for the black roses, we go back to Black Templar. Going over the red that we've already done. Okay, and we are finished. And our Minotower is now complete. So what was that about? Not sure. I think it's 2 hours or a little less. So really nice quick miniature. There we go. And there he is. I don't even think the teeth need a revamp either. The paint's picked up that scar. He looks like he's got over his eye. That's all good. You've got the gold work. Nice. Now, that's with some of the paint, but to be honest, I'm happy with it. I don't mind. I don't mind that at all. I think that helps to it. And I was maybe thinking of going with a bit of a dry brush, actually, wasn't I? Which I could still do. As this took a lot less time than I expected. Let's do that just to show you a bit of dry brushing. So I'm going to need my other paints as I was not planning on doing the stage. Where is it? I don't know. Where is it? So same cheapoed grey. Don't need much at all. Because ultimately when you're dry brushing, you don't want any paint on your brush really at all. So picking up some of that brush and then just brushing it off on this thing. Then you could just give it a go there. Just a bit too much there. Sorry. Now it may not look like it's doing much. Oops. That will give it a slight lighter. No. Yeah. That dry brush just had it. But anyway, there's a little extra. So that is the Minotower finished. So I hope you enjoyed that. Got some, especially with the blending perhaps, got some ideas. I've obviously got some painting videos on the channel for other Black Rose Wars miniatures, as well as Super Fancy Brawl and a bit of Lord of the Rings. So plenty there. Now maybe a very soon to paint version, which I'll be taking a lot longer on, is Marvel Crisis Protocol. I managed to get Wolverine and Sabretooth, as Wolverine's my favourite character since a kid. So I can't wait to paint him up. He's going to be awesome. So I've got Wolverine there, all primed, ready to go, and Sabretooth. Now Sabretooth does have a bit of a big joint going down his leg there. That I'm not too fussed about, but that's a gap and a half. So some green stuff will be needed on there and a bit of basing again, but great dynamic, a great sculpt. Wolverine, look. Can be painting it in his traditional comic colours. So they're going to be very soon to paint, as well as continuing my Black Rose Wars, excuse me, because I have a few things to paint, including things that have got primed up. So I've got Sculptor, David, or something like that. Invisible, he's such a cool mage. And Howard, the Demonology. So they're all primed, ready to go. Then we've got the re-scrubbed and re-primed Clockwork Golem, Abomination, Pigman, Tengu from the Demonology section, which I didn't, the Kappa, and the Dagon. So we got, they're all on the list to paint, which I will be getting round to eventually. But if you like this video, please do comment below as well. If you liked this quality or this format of recording, whether you found this better. It's still real time, so that's really in essence what I really wanted to capture, was real time painting. I think that's really key, just to see how the paint goes on, how it gets painted up as we go along. And if you want to see some more painting, please do subscribe, and I will see you next time.